For years, I was a woman who loved God, who prayed, who tried her best to live faithfully. But cancer came into my body like an uninvited guest, and no matter how hard I fought, it kept growing stronger. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months, and soon the pain became part of my daily life. In those quiet moments, lying weak in bed, I spoke to God more than ever before. I cried, I asked questions, and yet I also felt Him closer than I ever had. My body was failing me, but my heart was holding on to His promises. Before I go deeper into what happened next, I want to pause for just a moment. If you're listening to my story, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever gone through something that brought you close to God in a way you didn't expect? And if this story touches your heart, please subscribe so we can walk together through more stories like this. Stories that remind us we're not alone. As the days of my illness grew darker, I began to sense that my time here on earth was drawing near its end. My family gathered around me, praying, whispering words of comfort, and trying to hold back tears. I could see the pain in their eyes, and I wanted so badly to stay with them, but deep inside I also felt a strange peace. It was as if heaven itself was already drawing near, wrapping me in a quiet assurance. On August 2nd, 2025, the moment finally came. My body grew weaker and weaker, and every breath felt like it might be my last. And then, something happened that words can barely capture. I felt myself slipping out of the shell of my body, almost like stepping out of old clothes. I could see myself lying still on the bed, while my spirit gently rose above. A deep calm washed over me. The pain, the sickness, the weakness, it was all gone in an instant. Yet even in that peace, I felt the ache of leaving behind the ones I loved. I looked down at them, watching their tears, and wished I could hold their hands just a little longer. But as I rose higher, that sadness began to fade into something greater, something beautiful beyond imagination. As I drifted upward, I felt myself being drawn into a tunnel of light. It was not just brightness, it was alive, it was warm, it was love itself. The light wrapped around. Every bit of fear and sorrow melted away as I moved through it. There was no sense of time, no sense of weight, only a gentle pulling, as if heaven itself was saying, "Come closer." In that tunnel I wasn't alone. I could sense a presence, not one that frightened me, but one that filled me with awe. It was as though angels were near, unseen but very real, guiding me forward. The farther I went, the more earthly memories began to fade, replaced with a peace that no words on earth could truly describe. My thoughts were no longer clouded by sickness or pain. Everything was clear, pure, and full of light. And yet, in that peace I also felt something humbling. I was aware of how small I truly was before the greatness of God. It wasn't shame or condemnation. It was simply the realization that He is holy, and I am nothing without Him. That truth was heavy, but it was also freeing, because in the same moment, I felt His love covering me like a blanket, assuring me that I was not rejected but welcomed. The tunnel grew brighter and brighter until it was almost too much for my eyes to bear. But instead of hurting me, the light seemed to enter me, filling every part of who I was. I knew I was drawing closer to something far beyond anything I had ever experienced on earth. Deep within, I felt a stirring, like my soul was preparing to meet the one I had longed to see all my life. And then, in the distance, through that radiant brilliance, I began to sense Him. The one my heart had loved since I was a little girl. The one I had prayed to in my sickness, the one who had carried me through pain and weakness. I knew I was about to meet Jesus. Jesus stood before me, and the moment my eyes beheld Him, every part of me fell into silence. His presence was beyond description. He was clothed in light, and yet the gentleness of His face, the kindness in His eyes, drew me like a river flowing into the ocean. In that instant, I realized that everything I had ever longed for, every prayer I had ever whispered, every tear I had ever shed, it had all been leading to this moment, to Him. I cannot explain how I knew it, but in His presence I could see the story of my life laid bare. Not through words, not through judgment, but through the weight of His love. He revealed to me the times I had trusted Him and also the moments I had failed Him. Nothing was hidden. And yet, in every failure, His love was greater still. I did not feel rejected. I felt completely known and completely loved. It was overwhelming, like waves of mercy washing over me again and again. I wanted to fall at His feet, but it was as though my spirit was already bowing without needing to move. There was no pride left in me, only gratitude. Gratitude that He had carried me all my life. Gratitude that He never left me even when I was weak. Gratitude that His mercy had followed me right into eternity. Then He began to show me things. He revealed to me the depth of his love for humanity, a love so vast that no heart on earth could ever fully grasp it. I could feel his grief over how many people live as though his sacrifice means little to them, while he continues to call out in patience and mercy. He showed me how he longs for his children to walk in unity, not in division, and how the time for playing with faith is running out. The more he revealed, the more the weight of eternity pressed upon my heart. I realized this meeting was not just for me, it was for everyone who would one day hear my story. He wanted me to understand something, to carry something back with me, though at that moment I didn't yet know I would return. Standing there, surrounded by his glory, I felt as though I could stay forever. There was no pain, no fear, no sickness, only perfect love and peace. Every part of me wanted to remain in his presence. But then, his eyes, filled with both tenderness and urgency, told me there was more he needed to show me. Something about what was coming soon. I braced myself because even though his love was overwhelming, I could sense that what he was about to reveal would shake me to the core. In an instant, it was as if the radiant glory opened up into a vision, and I was standing in a scene unlike anything I had ever imagined. I heard a sound, loud, powerful, unlike any sound I had ever known. It was not a trumpet made by human hands, but one that seemed to echo through the heavens and the earth at the same time. It was the sound of eternity breaking into time. The moment that trumpet resounded, I saw people rising. They were lifted from the earth in an instant, caught up in joy, their faces shining with a light that did not come from this world. I knew they were the ones who had been ready, those who had truly given their hearts to him, who lived not just with words, but with surrender. It was beautiful beyond measure, souls finally united with their Savior, meeting him in glory. But then, the vision shifted. I looked down upon the earth, and what I saw filled me with grief so heavy that I could hardly bear it. There were countless people left behind. Some had called themselves believers, but they were still standing on the ground, their faces pale with shock and terror. They ran to churches, but the buildings were empty. They searched for their pastors, their friends, their loved ones, but they were gone. The cries began to rise. People wept, they screamed, they begged, but it was too late. I saw men and women pounding on church doors that no longer held the answers they thought they would find later. I saw tears streaming down the faces of those who had once raised their hands in worship, but their hearts had never truly surrendered. I saw families divided, some lifted to glory, others left in despair. It was heartbreaking beyond words. Jesus revealed to me the sorrow of those left behind. The shock of realizing they had waited too long, that they had played with their faith, that they had thought they had more time. I could feel their regret, their hopelessness, their longing for just one more chance. But the trumpet had already sounded, and the moment had passed. The vision became even clearer, and he showed me that this was not some faraway event, it was near. He made me understand that the time is shorter than many believe, and that perhaps even in the coming September, the world could be shaken in a way it has never been before. There was an urgency in his revelation, a call that burned deep within my soul. Prepare now. Do not delay. Do not wait for tomorrow because tomorrow may not come. As I watched the scene of sorrow and regret unfold, I wept. My heart broke for those who thought they had more time, for those who let pride, distractions, or sin keep them from truly walking with him. The sound of their cries still echoes in my spirit. It was not a vision to frighten me, it was a vision to awaken all who would hear it. And in that moment, as the cries of the left behind echoed in my soul, Jesus turned his gaze back to me. His eyes carried both the weight of judgment and the depth of love. He was about to give me a message, not just for myself but for the world. He revealed to me that there was still time but not much. He showed me that his people needed to wake up, to return to him with pure hearts, to let go of the distractions and sins that chain them down. He told me that love must be our foundation, love for God and love for one another, because without it even the strongest faith is empty. He made me understand that preparation is not just about saying the right words or going to church out of habit, but about living daily with him, walking closely, listening, and obeying. The urgency in his presence was unlike anything I had ever felt. It was as though eternity was pressing down upon time, calling every soul to decide. He showed me how many believers live with half-open hearts, thinking they can give him pieces of themselves and hold the rest back. But he revealed that when the trumpet sounds, only those who are fully his will be ready. There is no halfway surrender in heaven. As he spoke to me, not with ordinary words, but with truth that flowed directly into my spirit. I began to realize why he was showing me all of this. It was not just for my own journey. It was not only for me to see what is to come. It was for me to carry a message back, a message that would shake others awake, a message that would remind the world that his return is not a distant dream, but a soon-coming reality. I felt torn. My soul longed to stay with him. I never wanted to leave that place of love and peace. But then he showed me my family, my loved ones, and countless faces I did not recognize. He revealed to me that my story would touch people I would never meet in person, that through my testimony some would turn back to him, some would repent, and some would finally surrender their lives before it was too late. In that moment, I knew what he was asking of me. He was sending me back. I felt his love surround me, stronger than ever before, wrapping me like a mantle of fire. And with that love came a commission, a burning call that could not be ignored. He showed me that every breath I would take from that moment on was not mine to waste. It was for him, for his glory, for his people, to sound the alarm that the time is short. Then, as suddenly as I had been lifted into his presence, I felt myself being pulled back. The light grew dimmer, the peace of eternity slowly gave way to the weight of the earth. And with a gasp, I opened my eyes. I was back in my weak, fragile body. The pain of sickness was still there, but something inside me had changed forever. I could barely speak, but in my heart burned a fire that sickness could not quench. I had seen Jesus. I had seen the trumpet sound. I had seen the sorrow of those left behind. And I had been given a message that I could not keep to myself. So I speak to you now with all the love in my heart. Please do not wait. Do not put off what God is calling you to do today. Prepare your heart, surrender your life fully, and love deeply. Seek him while there is still time, because the moment will come when the trumpet will sound, and there will be no more chances. And as I close my testimony, I want to invite you gently. If this story has touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me how God has spoken to you, or if you've had moments in your life that drew you closer to him. And if you want to walk with me through more stories of faith, hope, and truth, please subscribe. Together we can stay awake, stay ready, and encourage each other until that glorious day when we will all meet him face to face.